You do what you want to do with it.
Then we are recording this session.
They say always, and whatever you want to do with it is your benevolent choice. What
Okay.
you do, your choice.
I think everyone should see them. And for the same reason why yesterday when it was Justin and Paula, people need to hear their stories. I mean, I resonated with what they're saying. And when I get to listen to Paula, oh my God, there's so many synchronicities between hers and mine. Hell, she grew up in Minnesota. She was a poli-sci student to begin with. And God, figured out quickly that she wasn't going to make any of the changes she hoped in politics. And that's when all of a sudden she had some kind of shift and realized her medium skills and started there, and it all just kept unfolding after that.
Yeah.
That's what people need to hear.
Yeah, I've listened to a couple of them. I had to take those off because it's going into my deaf ear and I can't hear you. I'm finding such resonance in a lot of the different stories, and I find it's ironic when I ask you, let's talk one-on-one. All of a sudden, these people are popping up to you one-on-one, and I feel like they're needing to communicate one-on-one with you because it's a comfortable feeling to be able to pull out their soul resonance in just a comfortable setting with you and just talk. And there's a couple of people. There was one girl in particular, I forget what her name's. I don't pull in those specifics, but her story and her resonance was so sweet, and she was just, I'll just say that her resonance felt like a little fairy, and she was just so sweet and giggly, and she just was so special. And to be able to have that time with you just felt so special, and to be able to feel comfortable to share her journey and her stories and ask the questions that she was so unsure of, that have been going through her head, and like, what is this? What is that? And I'm so confused because we've all done that. I write all these different things down on paper, and I ask the angels and source and all these things. And there's so many questions that I've written down that I've never asked people, because I'm like, they're going to think I'm nuts if I ask
Who do you
this.
ask? That's right.
Who do you ask these questions? Even people that I go to for guidance, I don't ask them. I by the time you get there, you're like, I'm not going to ask that question. That's ridiculous.
Still, I know what you're saying, and that's become more apparent to me over the last week, because now, like this week, there wasn't a day I don't have someone that needed this same connection. I have two today. Good, and I'm trying to accommodate them around the rest of my life, and making sure that Mary doesn't get ignored along the way. And she's been wonderful in that way. She gets it, and she's kind of, things are unfolding for her too. But anyway, to your point, I recognize that no one really has invited these people, and that still takes a certain kind of natural resonance first. So when they hear me speak, apparently they feel grounded from it, and they're not afraid to open up on the things that they want to talk about. Because before they could do that in a group, they've got to find one person that they can resonate with and share that kind of information with. And I've said I would be willing to do that, and I want to. Where my juice comes from. Now it comes from when the rest of you get it. When the rest of you catch up to where I am and can straddle dimensions, and you understand my perspective, then I have accomplished my goal. I couldn't be happier. It's what my guides are assisting me to do. So every time somebody gets an opportunity to just feel good about themselves and let it out in a place where there's no risk, and you're not going to be belittled here whatsoever, because there are magnificent things that all of us have experienced.
Mhm.
Most of us have not been paying attention, and so they come and they go. But those of us that are, and as things are changing so rapidly, more and more of this is going to take place. And I had been warned. You've been in sessions where I've been warned that this is what was going to happen, Lowell. Make it easier for them to find you, because
Mhm.
there's going to be a lot of other people that are going to have questions. And now, with the experiences I've had over the last couple months in this community, I see where people are willing to go and be candid about what they're doing, as opposed to where some of these other places, there that it's not energy that rises my vibration. When I sit and listen to some of these things and it drops my vibration, I can't listen to it anymore. I know what kind of space I'm holding, and it's not like I have my eyes focused on what I believe the timing for the shift is going to be. That is where I base my decisions on where my energies are going to go, where my attention's going to go. So if you want to talk about things that are negative from the past, bless your heart. If that's the space you want to hold, that's great, but it's not the space I'm holding. And I don't think it's really going to get me where I need to go next if when the rest of our vibratory nature around us changes, I want to make sure mine matches.
Yeah. Yeah. When we hold a reverence and a vibration of forgiveness and an unconditional love, what doesn't matter what the story is and the details, so many beings, and I'm not going to say people, because so many beings want to look at the backstory, and this happened, that did this, and this did that, and this perpetuated into this. It doesn't matter, because we're starting the new world, then we're stepping forward, right? So when you step forward, we walk into the forgiveness of unconditional love. So when just in so take it into a relationship. If you're going to step forward into forgiveness and unconditional love in a relationship, you can't continue to look backwards and say, but you did, but you did, but you did. You have to step forward in the unconditional love, and all that is behind you is forgiven, no matter what the details. And we are forgiving all, because we all have been all things at all times and all spaces and all realities. So we are forgiving all, because you and I have been in many, many lifetimes together and apart in many, many lifetimes. We have shared journeys many times. So we have seen many things. So we have been the doer and the doee. And so we have forgiven all, and we're prepared to walk forward in the new lifetime of forgiveness. And so we have to let go of no matter what it was, and never look back that it once was. We remember what it was, because we don't want to do that again. We walk forward in the reverence of complete forgiveness, not only to others. The most important thing is because it is not our burden to forgive others. That is their journey. We have to forgive ourselves, because what we hold resonance in our light, our codes, is a whole multi-dimensional lifetime, because our lifetime is huge, of things that we have to forgive upon ourselves. And that will hold resonance of forgiveness backwards so far. So when we forgive ourselves, and the person next to them forgives themselves, and so on, that will heal so far back. So when we take away the burden that I have to forgive you and you have to forgive me, and just sit down and hold resonance that I have to sit still in my own heart, my own energy, and forgive myself, that pours over such solace and the resonance, and you will be just, oh my gosh, just that brings tears to my soul when I have to forgive myself, because it is so easy to forgive others, but to turn that back around on you and pull it into yourself. That's why they say go inward and into your own heart, the own cave of your heart, the own cave of your soul, and look what is within. Because when we are looking outward for what others have done, you forgot what you've done. You forgot what's in here.
Yeah. Well, that's a holy crap, pal. That's a lot to unpack. So here, let me refer to a few notes I made. First, I understand and I love the notion of unconditional love. It's what I experience in the next realm. It's what we're walking into. We talk about love, unity, and compassion. That is what the law of one is based on. And that's the law that prevails in the fourth dimension. And above that is, we go to the law of love beyond that. Unconditional wisdom and unconditional love. Few people can say the word unconditional, but how many people really abide by it? Because when you say that you unconditionally love somebody, whatever happened in that history before, we're not going that way. So why are you looking that way is what comes into my mind. You really have to draw a line in the sand, and that has to be a period of forgiveness. It's got to be a karmic lift off of you anyway that you would sense when you finally let go of that and move forward with this idea that we're all connected and everybody is love. When we get frustrated in the things in others, you're right. So I'm going to underscore with that notion that what we see in others is a reflection of ourselves. That is what you were saying to me, and absolutely. I fully resonate with it. And that's the part that needs to be healed, not somebody else. That means that we're looking outside somebody else for some kind of validation, some healing. Yes. As you said, it doesn't come from outside there. When we recognize that we didn't resonate with somebody, it's because we somehow dropped that unconditional love lens when we were looking at them. And I don't understand how that happened. That wasn't their fault. That's our perception and something we need to work on. You're right.
Yeah. That's the chamber of mirrors. That's the chamber of mirrors. Doesn't matter what door that you walk through, it will always lead you back to God, which is always leading you back to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that theme put in another way the other day, that all of this, everything that we're going through, humanity is going through, the cosmic cycle is going through, all of that was an intentional way in the third dimension to separate us so that we would find our way back to unity. That's what we're doing here. Yeah. So what else is going on with you?
Oh, many things, and I apologize for being late. I was just time gets out of my head.
That's okay.
I didn't sleep last night. I had beans in my room. I had this massive journey. It was wild. And I got up and started journaling about it and jumped in the shower, and I don't know where my mind went. And then my granddaughters came in. I was kissing babies and changing diapers and helping my daughter. And then I was like, oh, I saw your message, and I was like, oh crap.
Well, I always think that maybe I got it, the translation and time zones different. So I always go back and check, and no, those are her words up there. Yeah, Monday, 7. I wanted it early my time. Okay. It's all right. I like I say to others, when I go to a meeting and I might be 5 minutes late, it's not that the meeting was going to stop because I wasn't there within 6 minutes.
No,
the meeting was going to go on for the hour. So
yeah.
I always set aside 90 minutes when I decide I'm going to sit with somebody. And if something happened at the beginning and weren't there, that's fine. It wasn't like I was planning on doing anything else for the next 90 minutes. So when we do catch up, we do. And that's the way it was meant to be. But we're still living life while this is happening.
Yeah, how was the event that you did on Saturday? I didn't get to listen. I had my own event that I was doing, so I didn't get to jump in.
It was a bust. And I would say that I couldn't get in. There
Oh,
was a technical difficulty in that David, the organizer, had sent an invitation apparently to an email address off my website.
oh,
Well, that's not what my Zoom account is fired up and charged to be. So when 5 minutes before this session was going to begin, I went to sign in because I was signing in as a panelist. So I had a special email that people that were just listening to it didn't have. And it wouldn't validate me. It
oh,
said, this is not the email registered to
okay.
this panelist. Select another account. Well, I don't have another account. This is it. I was able to at least reach out to David. I messaged him on two platforms first and said, I can't get in. Here's what I suspect the problem is. So when I didn't hear back right away, I called him and he answered, and he was already in the session.
Oh,
In fact, as I was explaining the problems I was having, he didn't remember he was still live on the mic, and he was going through these remedies with whoever was listening. Anyhow, I just couldn't get in, and it was no time. You can't really change that when you're in the middle of the platform. I get it. So I quick
no,
shot
but
out something to on my social platforms, as many as I could, that if you were coming today and you didn't see me, there were technical difficulties where I just couldn't get authenticated. And if you were one of those, then reach out to me. I'll set up a time when we can engage one-on-one, or we can figure out a small group. And I kind of
yeah,
left it at
so
that.
yeah, vibrationally, I'm feeling that you maybe not needed to be on that panel, that you're
Many others have said that. In
well,
response to
I
that, they said you weren't supposed to be there and you weren't
I
meant to be
I
there.
know Saeed and I know Ryan Belly, and I spent 5 days with them in Vegas at the Biomed conference, and there was a very significant thing that happened while I was in the not West Side. Well, yeah, everybody was there. The at the Biomed conference with
You want to share
these.
it?
I can. I have it on video. I bought the video of what it happened. You certainly can't see me on the video. I don't think I haven't watched the video. But you can hear me. I'll share the whole thing because I had run
Please.
into I had run into Saeed, and Saeed remembered me from Shasta, and he introduced me to Ryan Belly. So I had had breakfast with them, or I had just got to know them more. And then the morning of the first day, so that was the day before, and then the morning of the first day of the conference. How did it really go? The morning, the next, because it started on one day, and then the next morning of the next day, there was some super soldiers there, and apparently these super soldiers are from the future, coming back with AI and communicating with people, and recruiting people and bringing information through. And they had these super soldier weapons and stuff, and they were doing a couple lectures and being in on the panelists and stuff like that. So that morning I had breakfast with was visiting with Saeed and Ryan, and then after they had left off to go to the conference, then the super soldiers pulled me over and wanted to chat with me, and we were talking about angels and different things like that. And they he started drawing my angel and stuff behind me and was talking about angels. And then all of a sudden I noticed that he was like showing it to his screen on his phone, and then kept showing my face and stuff. And I realized that he was recording, and he says, oh, it's a live feed. I'm like, to where? You can't just record me and show stuff without telling me. Oh, don't worry about it. It's back to Cambodia or something. I think he said something like that. And I'm just like, it didn't make me feel good. It gave me really, really not good feeling and stuff. And so we just kept communicating, and I just was not getting a very good feeling. And he was talking about AI and different stuff like that. And I just got this wash of not feeling like this is right. And I just said, I don't devalue what you feel, I am a soul sovereign being. I value this, blah, 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 blah. And just stated who I am, and I am this, I value what we've communicated about. Thank you. And I stood up, and they just continued to talk, and wouldn't let my energy really walk away. And I just finally put my hand on the table and just said, I thank you for your time. I need to leave now. And I walked away. I kind of had to, like state it, because they kind of wouldn't let my energy pull away. And so I walked away, and I went to my room. I really was feeling I needed to go cleanse and go to my room. So I went and cleansed, went to my room. I tapped in, and I wanted to draw what their energy truly was. So I asked to show me what their energy truly was. And it was a being of just scattered energy. And I said, well, is it good? Is it bad? What is it? And I was just told it just is. It just is. Don't put any emotion to it. It just is. I'm like, okay, I have no emotion to it. I'm not going to just even acknowledge it. And so I ran into them in the where they have all the stuff that you see, the
exhibit hall.
And I was like, oh, they had all their guns and stuff up that they created, and they had their books and stuff. And I looked at them, and they're like, hey, there you are again. And they had their little camera thing. And I was like, I want to show you what I drew of you. I said, you're not good or bad. You just are, and I showed them that, and I just walked away. And then I went and wandered around the exhibit hall, and met several people, and found some different energy stuff, and then I went into all day and did listen to lectures and stuff. Well, anyways, that evening they were on a panel, and they put them on this panel, and they wanted to allow them to connect to their boss, creator, whatever they wanted to, and in the future. So Saeed was the MC for it, and they allowed this one guy to put this thing on his face, and he tapped in and he pulled in all this energy, and I felt all of it. And he started communicating and started talking, and like mechanical, started talking through this device. Well, my arms, all of a sudden I started breathing really heavily and I couldn't control it. And all of a sudden my arms go straight out, and I've got this orb of silver light all around me. I've got flames shooting out my hands, of silver light out my hands, most intense energy I have ever felt. And I'm breathing and all this energy just pouring. And I'm so intense. My legs are crossed, and I'm thinking in my head, if I uncross my legs, I'm going to stand up. If I uncross my legs, I'm going to stand up. Don't stand up. And I'm thinking this, don't stand up. Because I'm thinking, what the heck is happening? And I got all this energy, and I'm shaking, and tears are running down my face, and I'm breathing, and I'm shaking. And this guy on the stand, he's saying, the transmission is being interfered. He's saying, we have an intruder, transmission interfered, we have an intruder. And he starts talking again, and then he goes, we have an intruder, and more light is like pouring down on top of me. And I've got this bulb of light, I've got orbs on my pulsating. I can't tell you, I've had energy around me so much, but I've got lightning bolts coming out of my hands, and I'm just like shaking and just tears. And he's saying over and over, I can hear this, intruder. And I hear people going, get her a healer. And I go, I am a healer. And I'm just like, And
That's your light energy. If you ask me what was happening there, that's your light energy setting up a protective,
yeah,
orb around
I
you
just
and
went this,
expanding.
I just went boom, like my power bands just went up and like, this is not going to happen. I'm not allowing you to this happen.
Exactly.
So, and so they stopped him from talking. They said, get him off the stage. They pulled him off the stage. Well, they shut down. First, he said disengage communication. Remember him saying that. And then they said, get him off the stage. Saeed comes over to me and he's like, are you okay, Robin? And I'm like, I'm fine. And he goes, well, just put your arms down. And he pushes my arm down and my arm pops right back up. He goes, just be quiet, Robin. And I'm like, I can't help this. And then Lori is on the stand and she's got her hands up trying to heal me. She goes, I'm a healer. I'm like, I am a healer. And so I finally get enough energy and to pull my hands together, and I just slam my hands to the ground so Mother Earth can pull the energy, and I'm just shaking. And then I get myself up and I have a bag of Andara crystals, little round ones that I use for all chakra ones. I actually have 11 of them that I use for healing sessions.
Of course you do.
So I pull them out of my purse and I pull them out. I pour them out of my hand and I just shoved them to my heart. And I just stood there. And Ryan Belly's on the stand and he's sitting there just staring at me. And I'm just shaking and holding these. And I'm just rocking back and forth with these crystals. And I'm just shaking. And that was like another hour later, there's talking. And I'm just like this and just shaking. And then we finally get up and leave when it's all done. And Scott Werner walks by me. He goes, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, but I just didn't expect all that to happen. Wasn't prepared for that. I said, I do
you
energy
never
work.
are.
I was not
You're
prepared
the
for
barometer in the room. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
You were the barometer.
I stopped all of that from transmitting.
Yes, you did.
And so the next morning, Scott and I meet up as we're walking into the meeting hall. He walks right into me and we're walking together. He goes, I was visited all night long by Saint Germain and I had to change my entire talk because of you. And I'm like, sorry. And so then people kept walking up to me and they're like, you stopped the entire transmission. They were trying to inundate us with something bad and you stopped it. And I'm like, you're welcome. I don't know what I did, but I just, my light just went out and said, not today. You ain't doing this today. Not while I'm sitting here. And yeah, I have it on video. I'm sure everybody else has it on video. You can't see me because I'm in the first row. I think I'm in the first row, but the cameras are going. You might be able to see part of it, but
okay. That's all right. I heard your rendition of it. I could picture what was going on, and as soon as you started to talk about what the sensation was like, you little empath. It's not like you're a super empath to begin with, and I've seen that around you because you conjure shit out of nowhere. I've been at Jamie Lee's with you, right? So, okay. Yes, I've seen that happen. So I know what you're capable of connecting to. I'm not surprised that when you were in that room that your light wasn't going to let that happen. It certainly wasn't going to affect you. And when you started to articulate, how great the energy seemed to be, it just sounded like you started to take on, that space for the entire, the room.
I think I wrapped the entire room and said,
Yeah.
And I was sitting in I was sitting in the front row because I put my hands down on the ground. So I enveloped the entire room and said,
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I read it.
Yeah, I have never felt anything so intense. I've had energy pouring out of my hands before several times. The most intense other than that was on my way to Mount Shasta last time. We stopped at the lava beds and there was a bunch of beans. There was 4 beans and stone on all 4 corners. And I was like, first I noticed the rocks and then I was like, oh my gosh, there's faces and oh my gosh, they're at the 4 directions. And I bent down and touched this this like little weed that was sitting next to it. I bent down and I touched this weed. I'm like, oh my gosh, how cute are you? And I touched it and fire just started shooting out of my fingertips. And I was like, holy moly. Hi, you guys.
Yeah, that stuff really happens.
Yeah. So it was wild. But yeah, that's how I got to know Brian Belly. So but they're good people. They have a different spectrum. They do look at the he's brilliant. Ryan Belly's brilliant. Saeed was really cool. All of those guys that I met down there, a lot of them are different views and different spectrums, and you'll see if you go to the next biomed conference, they all work in different fashions of energy, and they all are brilliant. And if you do get a chance to meet with people that do the off-planetary stuff, they know a lot, and it is fascinating. It is smart to be aware, but I don't like to focus on that, like you said.
Well, yeah, it's interesting to me to see other people's journeys. They weren't supposed to be mine. It's not like I have to catch up to wherever you are. Somehow, we were supposed to hear those things when our paths crossed, and do with whatever it is we were supposed to do with the information. But we're all still individually trying to come back to all of the things that we have within us already. And that wasn't meant to get it from somebody else. So as hard as people want to tell you the 1, 2, 3s to get where I am, it's never 1, 2, 3. It's not like that. We share these things between us because here's where we find comfort in doing that, in talking about these extraordinary phenomenon that the rest of the tribe I'm finding, they're having the same things. Not exactly the same things, but there were overlaps here that now we can put our fingers on. We just recognize that there's other light work and light workers that are out there that are all finding each other right now for the purposes so that next time that happens, Robin doesn't have to be the only one in the room that can assist in that process. Yeah, but you were that day.
Yeah. And I don't know why, and that might be the only purpose why I was told to go to that thing. I was told to go. Just like I was told to come meet you. I was given your name by Rob, and told your journey into Telos by Rob, and I heard you need to meet Lowell. And I was like, okay, fine. Who the heck is Lowell? Fine, I will. and when I found your Facebook thing, and then I got your invitation to go to the thing in Vegas, and I heard you need to go to that. And I'm like, oh, crap, it's not, okay, fine. And the way things work out, and it's like, and they're like, yeah, you need to go and you need to meet Lowell. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. And then they're like, well, don't even make really plans. Go. Just get a reservation of a hotel. Just, you don't even really know where it is. Just do a random, get a motel. And so I just told them, just give me a room and tell me what room I have when I get there. My room was across the call from me.
Yeah. When I
and I'm just like,
that later, oh my God. That's when I started getting it. You understand that?
Yeah.
It's one thing for me to see that. It's another one to see people that were told to find me, and that's how it manifested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I said to them is make sure I don't have to look at the city. I just need to see the mountain. That's all I need. And then they put me across the hall from me. I would keep saying across the street. They put me across the street from you. I know. I was walking up. Zan wanted me to go for a walk with her that night, and she's all, well, I'll walk you back to your room. And I'm like, okay. And so we get up the elevator, and she goes, well, where are you going? I'm like, down here. She goes, well, that's where our room is. I said, I know, I'm right here.
She told me that after the fact, and oh my, I didn't appreciate the synchronicity of any of that until later.
And I was like, look at my view. I got this. And I could see
Yeah.
the pool down below. My view was way better than yours.
I know. I used to stay on that side of the building. I have a very good friend that works there. That's how I got hooked up with what
Oh,
I did.
I got
Yeah.
the beautiful pool. It was too cold to swim, but the
Yeah.
pool is beautiful at nighttime.
Yeah.
And
Look,
then
that facility is
all the
gorgeous.
lights, and then the mountain. Oh, I had this little bench and I could sit there and look at the mountain and the lights on the pool. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
That's why I like staying there as opposed to anywhere else. Because when you're looking at the mountains, Red Rock is right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I would have liked to stay longer and go hiking up there, but I had gone and visited my daughter that lived not in Vegas, but she was living a little ways away. So I went early
Mhm.
and hung out with her and then drove into Vegas. But
Okay.
no.
All
But
right. I got to run, pal. Is
yeah,
that okay? I'm glad we
that's
did this all.
perfectly fine.
I'm going to post it later. Okay.
I'm gonna post all that.
Yeah. Is that all right?
You do what you
Yes?
need to
No?
do. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll stop the recording.